Let's stream it up, guys. Welcome. September 16th. Oh, let me jump in here. Gotta charge this. There we go. All right, welcome everybody. All right, how we doing? We got all connected, charged up. Here we go. How we doing this September 16th, 2018? How we doing? Tudor, Sheila, Boyd, Paul, M. King, everybody for joining me this Sunday. I'm excited to be here. Janet, Nick B. I appreciate you guys taking the time, of course, as always, being here. Big, sexy Sheila. Everyone's joining. Good stuff. I am one excited for it. So, yeah. Pete will get into some stuff. We'll talk about the helicopter if you want. We'll talk about Fear the Walking Dead, and whatever else you want to talk about. Obviously, if you're watching this on the replay, spoiler warning, I don't want to ruin anything for you. But if you're here for that, you know what we do on this channel. I am excited for Fear the Walking Dead to end and The Walking Dead to start. But Fear should be interesting tonight. We got 3 episodes left of Fear the Walking Dead, which I thought was pretty funny that I saw and I checked out a little bit more, that the director for tonight's episode of Fear the Walking Dead is Lou Diamond Phillips. That's pretty interesting. So we had Coleman Domingo and Lou Diamond Phillips, 2 directors that I wouldn't think would be directors, but that's who is directing the episode tonight. And it should be interesting. We'll talk about Fear the Walking Dead, and football, I guess, if you want to. Yeah, La Bamba, exactly. So, The Walking Dead had another little sneak peek trailer promo thing for it. Pretty cool. I've been watching it on there too. Yeah, awesome, Darlene. Glad for you guys to join me, and everyone else as well. Thanks for joining me this Sunday, September 16th. We are 3 Sundays away from The Walking Dead returning October 7th. I'm excited for it. Fear the Walking Dead looks interesting. What are they going to do in these last 3 episodes? I don't even know the lady's name that is the villain, which is, to me, is a problem. You should kind of know the villain's name. You should kind of know main characters, big characters' names. I think it should be pretty important, right? But she's really known as the Filthy Woman or Filthy Woman. And it's kind of just like, what? What is that about? So we'll see what happens with the truck and her, and the tractor trailer looks to blow up in the sneak peek. And some big stuff that happens this episode is we can't find Althea. Jim gets bit. I believe Strand and John are met by what's her name, Alicia and Charlie. I think that's what happens in this episode with them. Hopefully everybody unites soon. We only have 3 episodes left, and that's kind of what Fear the Walking Dead does. They have everyone together, everyone breaks up, everyone together, separate, come back together, separate again, come back together. And you're like, so what is it? What are we going to get? So, Tudor, I just believe the way it ends is that Jim is bit, so I would assume Jim dies, or they cut off his limb that he gets bit. So we don't know. I think that's the way the episode ends, is what something happens. So I believe the tractor trailer, the semi-truck, whatever you want to call it, gets blown up. So they're not going in that to Alexandria. So I guess they're all piled in that SWAT truck, or they're going somewhere, some other way to get there, or they never get there, I guess, is what they want to happen here too. So we'll see a little bit more about the Filthy Woman, the Filthy Lady. We'll see out what her deal is. And basically no one helped her. And then the people came around with the trucks and the boxes and everything, and she just starts killing people. So the lady's crazy already. You know, she's using walkers as pets. She's taking what she needs. She's using walkers because she needs them. And it was funny. I think we'll see in this episode, you'll see she's rocking socks and sandals. So you know that's always a good look. So that's pretty funny with that. But something's going to happen with Morgan here and this lady that's going to set him off. Because he's always been up and down and high and low and all over the place. Want to kill everybody, want to save everybody. So we'll see what happens with Morgan going back to Crazy Town and wanting to kill everybody. But I don't know if the crazy, filthy woman is kind of connected with Morgan now, because Morgan wants to save everybody and take everybody back to Alexandria, even though that's ridiculous. Because, like, Jim was tied up, had a sack over his head, and they're like, hey, you want to come with me? Sure, you sound cool. You look like a cool enough guy. Come on back. He could be a serial killer. He could be a terrible person. But Morgan's like, hey, come on, man. See what happens, So, yeah. The tutor, what you got? Can't wait to see Michonne teasing my Mr. Famous on screen. Yeah, so hopefully, so that's a connection. Tutor's point there is Michonne and Rick laying in the bed together. So let's talk about the sneak peek trailer, promo, whatever you want to call it. The latest thing came out by The Walking Dead at AMC. And they're giving us more and more and more and more and more promo photos, pictures, all this good stuff. And it's awesome because I'm liking the idea that we're getting information. And they're giving it to us too. And what's up, Eye in the Dark too? Love it. Thank you guys for joining me. Appreciate it. We got Rick in bed with Michonne, and everything's good. And Michonne cracks a joke to Rick like, "Oh, Mr. Famous Rick Grimes," and she's like, "Don't start with that too," because I think the Saviors will see Rick as someone to help them. I think more of the workers will. I don't think the lieutenants and the people that were close to Negan want anything to do with Rick. There's going to be some turmoil with Rick and the Saviors that oppose him. Obviously, they're going to be killing some Saviors here and there. Someone's going to be doing that, is what the word is. Saviors don't have guns. Rick has the guns. Won't give them back to him. We'll see what happens with Carol and Jed. And if you see little peeks there, you can see Carol has a wedding ring. You can see Carol has a gun, and she's really kind of carrying herself to control people that are getting out of line. She's stepping up for Rick and doing big things there, and we're going to get more of them too. We're going to get Rick, having his ways and his ideas, which I think Carol is on Rick's side somewhat. But Carol's been the person to get rid of threats. So it'll be interesting to see what Carol does this season, if she plays both sides of Maggie and Rick, or if she's too busy with Ezekiel and the kingdom, or if she's just on Rick's side, or where she'll actually be. Rick is going to be with Michonne, obviously, and Rick is going to have the idea of, we need to help the Saviors and their people, and we're that. Maggie, on the other hand, is going to do the opposite. Maggie's like, we're going to starve these people, we're not going to help them, we're not going to give them anything. They tried to kill us, and that's it. They're done, I would be down. And I'm more on the Maggie side of it. Some of these people are probably good, but the Saviors have the sanctuary. The workers have the sanctuary. Do what you have at the sanctuary. You have all this stuff. You took a lot of stuff from Rick, other communities. Why can't you just do that? And what are you doing? Why do you need help from everybody else? I just don't get it, why everyone's going to have to rely on Maggie and the Hilltop for food and everything there. Maggie and them, they got their own problems. Rick's group, they got their own problems. Everybody working together, is it pie in the sky? Is it something that can happen? We'll see that happen here too. I like the little things with Rick looking at the boards from the front porch of their house with Carl's handprint and Judith's handprint on it. I don't know if it's the same boards or if they did it or whatever, or what happened to that. I'm sure it's the same boards that's supposed to be, but it looks a little different from the angle and everything. But ultimately, it's just what happened to the front porch. Did it get blown up by Negan's, people, or what? I like the idea that Rick is paying tribute to Carl, and so is Michonne, and that should be. There should be little things that be like, oh, that's Carl, or what's going to happen with the hat and Carl and Judith, and it should be there too. It just makes sense for it. So, all things geeky, great name. Did you notice on the Rick's final episode trailer with the walkers at the end, there's the one who says, "Where are they?" Well, yeah, they had that one initially from San Diego Comic-Con, and then they put the "Where are they" a little more noticeable because some people still couldn't hear it, which I can't believe people couldn't hear it. It was pretty obvious to me. But the Rick Grimes final episodes is on pretty much every trailer now. It's at the end of everything. They're blatantly putting that in our face that it's Rick Grimes' final episodes. And people, maybe some people in here, still don't believe that Rick is going to die. Is it going or not? If it's Rick's final episodes, why would Rick ever leave these people to never come back? That just doesn't make sense. It just means to me that he's going to die. His final episodes, his final resting place. It doesn't say Andrew Lincoln's final episodes. It's Rick's final episodes. So I think the Rick Grimes character is dying on the show. Maybe he comes back. Maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe he comes back. Maybe he goes to DC or the Commonwealth and gets on the helicopter. And I've seen people write, in episode 905, there was rumored to be Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Shane, and a helicopter filming. And I kind of believe all that. I don't know how it could be helicopter filming would be for that 905. Maybe it was seen. I would think that was a little more studio stuff, so it's hard to get around there, but maybe in the know it's for it. So I don't know if Rick tries to get transported and he dies. He might get on the helicopter, but he could die on the helicopter too. And I just really, really hope that it's not a Madison death, a Nick death, a Carl death. I just don't want this main super big character. Like, Rick to me is arguably the biggest character of The Walking Dead. Regardless if you like him or not, regardless if you're a Daryl fan or all that other stuff, Rick is a huge character for the show. And his loss, his character leaving, whether he's going to leave or die or whatever. But it says final episodes. So Rick's not coming back one way or another. So it doesn't matter. Final episodes means final episodes. And people will be like, I don't believe it. I think they're trying to make us watch. And Rick's going to live somehow. Then to me, don't advertise final episodes. Like, it's like a store advertising free pizza. And then you go there and they don't give you free pizza. I'm never going back to that. I can't trust that again. And we kind of shouldn't trust The Walking Dead somewhat. Like, there's some things about it that are just like, okay, they're playing with us a little bit. Kirkman's messing with us. Gimple's messing with us for sure. So I just don't understand why people... I just won't understand why AMC wouldn't do that on there too. And Kevin, no, I'm not mocking other people at all. You're going to take it that way at all, and not sure what your viewpoint of that is. But I'm just saying, I don't understand why people don't believe if Rick Grimes' final episodes are there, then why would it be? Why would they say? Why would they advertise it that way? It doesn't make sense for there too. So I don't know what your problem is there, Kevin. But I just like the idea of it making sense one way or another, however they want to do it. And it's got to be tough for Angela Kang and the writers to do that, to make sure that it's done right, because it needs to be done right. We don't need that. We don't need another crappy way of a main character going. Like, Carl's death was so stupid. Like, it was so dumb. To me, it was totally unnecessary. And the fact that Andrew, like, because Chandler Riggs didn't want to leave the show. He wanted to be on the show more. So that was a writer thing. The Andrew Lincoln wanting to leave is like the writers got to do something. They got to be like, okay, how are we going to do this? The way I assume is Kim Dickens wanted to stay on the show. I don't think she wanted to leave. Frank Delane wanted to leave. The two British actors, the two English actors, they wanted to leave. So so they had to just write it there too. But I really think Rick's death, or should say Rick's leaving, because we shouldn't say death until we see it, but Rick's death, in my eyes, is something that they should have known about for a while. I doubt Andrew Lincoln was like, hey man, I know we're starting season 9 next week, but this is my last season. I only want to do 5-6 episodes. That's all I really want to do. I'm sure they had a big conversation about it. I'm sure they talked about it between season 8 and season 9, or maybe in season 8, or maybe before that. So I'm sure they should have had a plan with it. If they don't, that's terrible, and that's poor planning on both sides. It's just terrible to think about it. But I like the idea of Carl being memorialized a little bit, seeing him more and more and more and more of it. I like the idea of doing that. I hope that they do something with Glenn and Abraham and Sasha, and then if Rick goes, they do that with him too, because you need to do that. You got to remember the past people. And I don't know if it's going to be enough for people to stay with the show or leave the show or come back. There's a lot of people that watch my channel and post comments that like I haven't watched the show in years or seasons. And I guess maybe they have or maybe they haven't, but it's just kind of crazy to think that they're probably not going to come back, because if Glenn was my favorite character, I probably wouldn't watch, maybe. Abraham, same type of thing. But to me, season 7 was terrible. Season 8 is a step in the right direction. Hopefully season 9 is a step in the right direction. And that's what you need, more and more steps back towards the right direction. If they want this show to go on for 10 years or beyond, another decade of Walking Dead, that's a long time. That is a super long time. So theoretically, if you do a season a year, which if they're going to get 10 years, they might do one every other year. Kind of like Game of Thrones took a year off to do it there too, and Sopranos a couple years ago did their final seasons. They took a year off and they brought some episodes back. The Walking Dead might eventually do stuff like that, where it's not every year that we get The Walking Dead. If they're going to last 10 years, that could be 10 seasons, that could be 5 seasons, that could be a little less. But it's just kind of interesting to see that how can the show survive 10 more seasons theoretically? There's the content for days. I know a lot of people are talking about the Whisperer War and the Commonwealth and just a bunch of things like that. So, and then remember, the comics will always be ahead of the show. So the comics come out one issue a month. So if they have this one and that, they can have a whole other storyline for a bunch of seasons there. And maybe they take a year off and they come back in a year, so that it can last. The 10 years can make it last. Will people come back to the show if Rick's gone and Glenn's gone and Abraham's gone and Sasha and this and that? If we lose a couple other people, I doubt people will be back watching the show. Well, I take that. Enough people be back. When you used to have, 12 million viewers, and now you're at 7, 8. And then you might be down to 4 or 5, or that's still great viewers. 4 million viewers is still tons of people and great viewership. So I think that'll be on there for a long time, for sure. So yeah, Tudor, Angela Kang debunked the Commonwealth being part of season 9. So what I meant with the Commonwealth line was that it could be beyond. That could be season 12. The Commonwealth could be there in season 11 or 12 for sure. And that's a long time. So you got season 9. This season 10 would make sense to be the Whisperer War. Season 11 would be after the war. And then season 12 could be the Commonwealth. That would make sense. But, we'll see if it lasts. I'm not worried about the viewers. I'm not worried about the revenue. I'm not worried about this. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about good content and quality episodes. Quality writing, quality everything. Because I want to have good entertainment, good story, stuff that makes sense, be valued for watching these characters. There's nothing worse like wasting your time in the show and then it doesn't connect, or it doesn't do that, or you're watching a show and then you feel like, or a movie that it wasted your time. There's characters, there's good, bad characters you're supposed to like, you're supposed to not like, you're supposed to hate, you're supposed to love. And there's a variety of them. And The Walking Dead has tons of characters. Some are dumb, some are stupid, some are annoying, some ones we love, some ones we hate. But I want it to be quality, for sure. Exactly. All things geeky. Quality, not quantity. I would rather have it be 3 more seasons of quality seasons than to go another 10, and we only get 3 of them are good. So hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully the Whisperers live up to the hype. And a lot of people are thinking the Whisperers sucked in the comics. And I disagree with that, because I think Alpha was very interesting. Lydia, still interesting. Beta, very interesting. The Whisperer philosophy, that idea, was kind of a game changer in there too. The way it ended, the way their story arc ended, was pretty weak. But I think that it was pretty interesting for the way they can do it, and they can have little remixes on the show. It can be awesome, and I hope the Whisperers are awesome. So, Tudor Brian, would you want in the future a scene with Rick, Carl, Glenn, Abe for Negan like Tyrese had in season 5? Would I want that? Probably no. Would I see that? Yes. I think The Walking Dead is going to turn to seasons 4, 5, and 6, the highest peaked viewership. I think they were going to return to that. Angela Kang has been a writer since season 2, so I think she knows what's successful. I know that she probably has been there since the peak. So is Kirkman, so is Gimple. They've been there since the high marks of seasons 4, 5, and 6. I could see that happening with something like that. But I don't see Negan dying, and now is Tyrese dying. But I see what you're getting at with that, as he's seeing them, but I don't see Negan dying. I see Negan and Negan and Daryl coming together at some point, which is going to be crap. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Daryl. Daryl could be the new Dwight. Dwight, I don't know where he is. He hasn't been seen filming. We haven't seen anything with him. He could come in as part of season 9 or be gone from season 9 altogether. Maybe season 10 he comes back around. But I think that it could make sense that Daryl becomes the new Dwight. And the Dwight and Negan had some conflict when Negan came back around in the jail cell and everything. It's just, I think it's just interesting to see if they do that. I think it could hurt the show because you don't want, like, I wouldn't want Maggie to be like, oh, Negan's all right. He's an all right guy. Just like the whole thing they did with Carl. Like, Carl's like, I'm here for Negan. Where's Negan? And he's like, Negan's like, all right. He made me some spaghetti. He's a pretty cool guy. No, come on. Chazer, what do you think would have happened if the governor survived? How do you deal with Negan, Rick's group, etc.? I hate these questions with the governor surviving and if Shane was around on there too. I shouldn't say I hate them. I take that back. I just dislike that because the governor ran its course. I kind of wish Shane was still around, but the governor thing ran its course with it. The governor would have tried to befriend with Negan and then probably kill Negan. And I think that would have been it. I think that would have been the whole thing. I think the governor joining forces with Negan would have been kind of like Martinez with Negan and Martinez. I think that's what it would have been on there too. So I see that would have been the governor on there for sure. On there. Thank you, Sheila McCabe for the super chat on there. Always appreciate on there too. I appreciate it for sure. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sheila. You guys are awesome. I'm going to go for another 40 minutes, guys. Appreciate you guys taking the time this Sunday to be a part of it. We're going to have The Walking Dead back in a couple weeks. It'll be here before you know it. I am excited to see on there too. No, I just can see Eye in the Dark. I know Eye in the Dark too. You're the biggest Daryl fan, I know. But I just see Daryl being more involved with Alexandria after Rick. Like, if you know the comics, you know Dwight being there with Rick. I see that being Daryl. And Daryl being there at the sanctuary with Negan, I could just see them happening with that Negan. Because Negan's going to be around. With Rick being his last season, his last episodes, I see Negan taking over some more time, some more viewership, some more there too. I just see Negan being an important part of the writing going forward. Will it hurt the show? Maybe. I don't know how it could hurt the show anymore because it already, in my eyes, killed a lot of the show. Season 7 was terrible in my eyes with Negan and the Saviors and Negan and the Saviors. Maybe if Negan was actually the person that we've seen in the comics and he actually joins forces with Alexandria and helps out to join the forces to go against the Whisperers and other walkers and all that, it could work. But I don't think people will buy the fact that Daryl can forgive and forget Negan, just like Maggie shouldn't. And I don't think Daryl shouldn't. Daryl was beaten and tortured and beaten and probably should have been killed. But Daryl is a fan favorite, so he's not going anywhere. But you don't get over that. If I was in Daryl's shoes and I was locked in a closet listening to that crappy music and eating dog food and stripped down to be naked and I was coming out and I was beaten again and I was there, I'm not going to remember that. And I'm going to remember that and I'm not going to let that go. And I'm not going to be like, Negan, you're okay. Even if you did anything right and helped Daryl out, which Negan will probably do something major and help out everybody if you know the comics. But I'm not going to buy that. Because if I was on Daryl's side, I would never want to see Negan alive again. someone beats me, my friends, my family, my loved ones, they're going down. That's it. I mean, that's just how it works. It just doesn't make sense to be like, all right, we're cool, everybody's cool, unless you have to be. Unless there's some reason that me getting rid of this person would be worse for me, which I don't know how that would be possible in there too. So I'm excited for The Walking Dead Season 9. The sneak peeks, the trailers, we're seeing more and more stuff. I like the idea of them going to the museum, and I love the picture, well, the scene, which is it turns into a picture, is the human evolution, where you see from like the ape to the nomadic man to the human and then the zombie. And you're like, that's kind of not the right way of evolution. We shouldn't be turning into zombies. And that's what it kind of portrays on there too. And it's kind of funny for that, because I could see that being the way Father Gabriel could see the world. He is a very religious person, and we'll see how he is. And he's funny, the person, he sees that in the actual trailer. So it'd be interesting to see what he says about it, and also Anne, because we'll see what happens with those two, because they look to be having more screen time together, Father Gabriel and Anne. I'm interested to see what happens with Father Gabriel. If you know the comics, you know that, but I don't think he's going to happen with that, because I don't think he's going to get his comic death. But the remixes that are coming are going to be probably big this season. The fact that we could lose Maggie and Rick is a huge change, a huge remix, a huge difference. So hopefully Ezekiel lives and Rosita lives and people, that we don't lose them too, which we could. But I hope that happens there too. Tudor, Brian, you see Daryl throwing Lucille to Negan and calling him a lunatic. It might be, yeah, I don't know. Like in the comics, like I said, you're Dwight, Negan, they coexisted after the war. I think that's what the show's going to turn into. Daryl is going to be from that. I think that's going to be the Daryl part. I just don't know what happens to Dwight then. Maybe he helps take down the Whisperers from the inside. Maybe when Negan goes and meets Alpha and all that, Dwight's there and he helps Negan. And then he comes back to Alexandria too, and then there's a whole conflict between Daryl and Dwight, which I think could happen. I think that should be one of those things that we're going to see that. I want to see what happens with Dwight and Sherry and Heath, and I don't know what other loose ends there are, but the helicopter, and I guess because you see the solar panels at Alexandria in the trailer with Michonne, Rick, and Judith walking. And so they're rebuilding there too. And in 18 months, that's a year and a half. That's a long time. They should have, and hopefully Anne would have been like, yeah, let's get these solar panels from my scavengers here, from the junkyard, the pile there. I think that would make sense to it as well. So I'm excited to see what the titles, good point, Darlene, the titles there, what comes after episode 905, which I made a video about the episode titles and the information and the writers and directors. And I think when Greg Nicotero does the episodes, he does a lot of the premieres. He'll do the premiere and then the probably the 901 and 909 he's probably doing. But for sure, and then maybe the finale. But he's doing 905. And if he's doing 905, that usually means that he's doing something big. He's doing something huge. He is a great guy, Chaz. Greg Nicotero is a great guy. He's very important to The Walking Dead and The Walking Dead universe. And I think that he wants to do it right, and he was in charge of that episode for a reason. I think it makes sense that is the big episode for Rick, like the spoilers are saying, especially that Greg is, involved with it. There's a lot of different writers. Angela Kang in the first half is only the first writer of the first episode. I don't see her as a writer. Maybe she's a partial writer, or but she's not the main writer for the episodes. That happens a lot where it's like co-writer, and she's a showrunner, so she's got a lot going on to be a writer and a showrunner, and that is probably a lot of work. It's probably a lot of meetings and a lot of stuff, but it's pretty interesting there too. Chazzer, are you going to watch the film Mile 22 with Lauren Cohan? Probably not. If I do, it'll probably be on television. I am not a big fan of Ronda Rousey. And I just don't like the idea of mile 22. To me, it's just a thing where they have to travel down the road, and there's going to be explosions and this and that, and they get rerouted and detoured and this. It's going to be action. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. To me, it just doesn't make sense for it, too. Tutor maybe Stradivarius is tied to Luke since he was a music teacher or the Whispers. Yeah, Stradivarius is a type of violin. And it's a very expensive violin, one of the best, if not the best violin, is what they say. I don't know much about that, but Stradivarius is connected with the violin. And when I think of that, I think someone's like playing a violin, and and they're kind of making fun of people. Like do you need some wine and cheese with that? Like they always do that moniker sometimes about that. But also the idea of, like you said, Luke is a music teacher, so maybe he finds one, he gets one, he does that. Or it's something like they're mourning the loss of Rick, of a major thing, and it just makes sense that they could find actually a violin, or they need one, or they do something and they mention the actual Stradivarius. And usually, typically, the names of the episodes are mentioned in the story. So Stradivarius should definitely pop up. So I want to see what's up with that. So Walker William, are you excited for tonight's episode? I wouldn't say excited. I definitely want to see what happens. I've already seen the spoilers about the truck exploding and this and Jim getting bit and just the way it is. And we're going to get more of the Filthy Lady's backstory. And I think it's going to set up the last two episodes, which should be Morgan-centric, because if you look at the titles of it, it's very important for it. I just don't think that this lady and this villain is that captivating for a villain. She's interesting, but to me, she's not a governor. She's not a Negan. She's like a wolf. To me, she's like a wolf character. And was that enough to be the major villain of a show? No, it was like a smaller villain that came around on there too. So I just think that's kind of the show, what it is. I think, that's what the word is that Jimbo and Momo. I actually do like Wendell and Sarah. The more I watch it, they kind of bring in that funny thing, that funny connection with it. I think they're kind of funny with how they do it. They bring some more to the table. I think they're good actors. So anytime there's a good actor in a part, you can see it. Like Garrett Dillahunt, who plays John. You just buy into that character because he's a good actor, and you just like it. At least I do. I just like what you have there, too. So, did you know that people who live near Alexandria get paid $4K to not show stuff while filming it? I don't know, Chazzer. I don't know what they get paid. I know there's different things, and if they use their house for different filming, then you get paid for that. But, I don't know. 4K is a lot for budget cuts. I don't think they're giving out $4,000 to people for that for no reason. You probably have to sign something. I believe the people of Alexandria who live in those homes inside Alexandria, I think they're going to get some money for sure, especially when they film for it, because of the inconvenience. You can't just leave your development and everything as you please. It's just one of those things that you're going to pay people there too. I think it makes sense that you take care of them. Collect Z. Do you think Fear the Walking Dead will come to The Walking Dead before, after, or during the Whispers? It's definitely not before the Whispers. It would be after or during the war. What if like Althea's there and there's a war going on and she's like, oh, let me get my camera, let me see all this. And she's like filming the Whisperer War. I think that would be the best for Fear the Walking Dead people, because Althea's camera is going to be safe. The SWAT truck's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. At least I think Althea, I would like to see Althea, John, Morgan, and Alicia. Probably Charlie would end up living too. They'll bring Charlie back to that. But there's got to be time jumps. There's got to be major time jumps, because 18 months, season 9. Then we're supposedly a 5 to 6 year time jump in that. So a year, 18, so that's a year and a half, and then say 6 years. So that's 7.5 years since Morgan went away. Just think about that. Morgan left at the end of season 8. So if Morgan's ever going to get back to Alexandria, it would be 7.5 years later. Maybe 6.5. But still, 6 years later, that's a long time for Morgan to be in Texas. Because if that's a rumored 5-year time jump, in season 9, episode 5, 6, 7. If the rumors are true, episode 906 is the time jump of 5 to 6 years. So say it's 6.5 years. So potentially we won't see Morgan get back to Alexandria in six years later. Alicia would be like 30 years old. All these people, I don't know how old, but she'd be in her 20s or whatever. That'd be a long time. So how are they going to pull us off? I don't know. Hopefully they got a plan and it makes sense, because The Walking Dead doesn't do the best job with the timeline, plot holes, things jumping around. With The Walking Dead on Twitter, it wasn't like AMC's Walking Dead. It was Walking Dead _AMC, I think is what it was. They said it's 632 years, 632 days when Rick was captured by Jadis in the, at the junkyard. So that's a long time. That's less than 2 years though from that time. So I don't know if it was just time jump, time this, wrong date, wrong thing, if they got misinformation and what. So yeah, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things where the timeline matters to people. And I'm taking note of all this in my book series. I'm making note of all this stuff because people get pissed when stuff don't make sense and doesn't line up. And people are like, what? I thought this happened. No, what? That doesn't make sense. So you're going to say Carl was only 2 years old? He was 2 years older when he started? He'd be 13 and this? So the comic storyline to a TV show storyline is not the best adaptation because you can draw someone the same age forever. It's kind of like The Simpsons. The Simpsons have been on for like 20 years. But they all look the same. All the characters look exactly the same. Janet, where you at? Sorry. Let me see your question. Let me see, Janet. Brian Q&A. Brian, why do you think we're getting a second time jump? Are the writers hoping to avoid the group's grief over losing Rick? Well, that's a good point. Great question, Janet. I think it has to do with Rick's absence, death, leaving, whatever you want to call it. So let's just call it Rick's death in 905. The writers, they're supposed to get away from that day, I guess. So everyone's going to be mourning. I think it's a big jump because of a big loss. And so the season could be great from 901 to 905. Rick dies, 905 ends, the next week 906 happens, and it's like a major time jump, but people are like, whoa, what is this? Okay, I see Rosita, I see Eugene, they're running here, there. Last time I saw this, people were mourning Rick's loss or the helicopter left or whatever happened, and we'll have to wait and see, but I think it has something to do with them wanting to get away with that as much as they can. Because it's already going to suck that Rick's gone, but I think it has to do. I think it definitely has to do with Rick dying is the time jump to get away from that with time and actually really get along with it, get away from it as much as possible with the story and the writers. Because kind of with the same thing with Madison. Madison died at the end of the season. We didn't really see it. Well, the mid part of the season, and then we didn't really see anything after that. Some time went by. It was just all over the place. We were hearing the story. It happened. I think they're kind of doing the same thing with it. And again, when Madison died, it was already before all that. When, the vultures, and they already came. It was like the time was just jumping around. And I think that's what they're trying to do here with the time jump away. And they can't go with then and now storyline. I think they're trying to do the same BS. And I have a feeling it's not going to work. I have a feeling that people are going to watch probably the first half of season 9 and 906, 907, and 908 need to clear up the timeline and the crap with Rick, and they need to be very good. Because if it starts off with everybody being hunky-dory and life is great and all this stuff and blah, 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 and they go to the museum, they come back and they got to do, get stuff and farming equipment and plows and horse and buggy and this and that, and they got to go on for civilization, and then they come across the bridge, and then they have to work together, and the saviors hate Daryl, and Daryl hates the saviors, and people hate this, and it's just, Maggie's people are hating the Saviors, and the Saviors are going to fight back, and it's just everything all over the place. And then the bridge is made. They physically go across the bridge. They have a bridge. Everyone works together. The Whisperers come around. They're introduced. They kill Rick, or they wound Rick, and then we got another problem. Rick dies. Major time jump, and then you're like, well, wait a second. Why did all these years pass? You can't just sling that on us. What happened in those 5 years? It just can be crazy. But Ramel Brown, I'm excited for the Whisperers, for the possibility of them. They can be done, because I feel like Angela Kang is messing with the timeline. And she said, well, I don't think she is. I think The Walking Dead as a whole, and she's responsible for it. But I think Angela Kang definitely mentioned and pointed out that there's probably going to be a remix of the Whisperers. It already is different because it's Eugene and Rosita, not, Marco and I'm blanking on the other guy, but that's different. That's not what it is in the comics. So that's a little remix. And also the Alpha situation, that could be the remix when we see them in 906 instead of 901, because in the comics, A New Beginning, you see Magna's group at the start of it. You see that right away. I think that it's going to be a little different for sure. Protected Line, do you think your book is better than Fear? I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say yes, because there's a different storyline, a different thing that comes together. It's not making you jump around. The timeline doesn't jump around at all. It's just, I think it's got more things going for it, but I don't want to compare two things with The Walking Dead, because I'm trying to have it a little different than that, even though it's the zombie apocalypse. But I want this to be stand on its own for sure. Can you check my longer comment, please, Tutor? What you got? Sorry, going through here. Maggie says Maggie's leaving in episode 6 to give Georgie that cheese and pickles. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Hopefully Georgie comes back around. I hope Georgie does. Tutor, you're talking about Telltale games. I don't really play Telltale games at all. I haven't really played the new Spider-Man game either, even though I want to. Not really seeing it, Tutor. I just see a bunch of comments there. Sorry, if you can post it again, I'll check what you got there. But I like the idea of Ryan Hurst. Let me see that question from you. Who were you? I in the Dark. What's your thoughts on Ryan Hurst as Beta? I think it's good. I think it's cool. I think that's the best casting for that position, unless it was like The Undertaker from WWE, because you're trying to draw people in from other areas. So if it was The Undertaker, you would get people who love wrestling and WWE here. You would get it to The Walking Dead. If you love people that love Sons of Anarchy, they will come to the show. Hopefully people that like Sons of Anarchy watch the show already, but this might draw more people in to see a character from that show on this one. That should be pretty cool too. So I like the idea of bringing other people in from other areas. Like I never really watched the 100 except a couple episodes, but I know a couple of actors are from that. I like the guy Luke. He's on the Goldbergs and a couple other shows, and I think the castings have been pretty good. I think bringing in people from other shows is a good way to bring people in. Exactly. So like Jimmy, so if you didn't watch The Walking Dead, but you like Sons of Anarchy, you might watch that now just for beta, and that's what they want to do. AMC and The Walking Dead are smart. They want to bring people in from other shows, other families, other communities, other areas to the show to get more fan base. The AMC Walking Dead power and connection, they don't want that show going anywhere. AMC has got a cash cow with The Walking Dead. They want that thing rolling for another decade, another 10 years, and how are they going to do that? They own Raleigh Studios now. They're going to be filming more spin-offs, more shows, more merchandise, more big events, more things, more characters, more everything. That's what they want. It's all about making that money and keeping that money train a-rolling for sure. Brian and Telltale's Walking Dead, they had a huge time jump, so maybe that's the theme of the universe now, to be years ahead in the apocalypse. Well, as a writer myself, I can do a time jump in a chapter, in a book, and the time jump can be days, weeks, months, years. It can be whatever you want. But does the time jump make the show, the writing better? Is it necessary? Is it filler? Is it done to bridge the gap? Is it done to progress the story? Is it done to fill in the gaps? Why is it done? Hopefully the bottom line is it's the best thing for the story. It's kind of to show like they've been doing this for a while, and then a new threat. It makes sense. Then and now and then and now and this and that and flip and flop and here and there is confusing. You don't want that. I like a linear timeline where it's just going. And maybe it goes up and maybe it comes down and like that, but it's going across. I want a linear timeline. I don't want to go then or back and flip and flop, and I don't want that. People don't want that. Writers don't want that. It doesn't make sense. So I just think it makes sense to people to just have a storyline, read something, move on from it, there, maybe a little flashback, how it connects, and that's okay. But, back in season 6, when we had the Morgan episode, we were like, what the heck is this? That's just, what the heck? I don't want a whole hour of a Morgan episode. That kind of filled it in there. And if it was after like big events and you're like, come on, man, I don't want this. I want to know what happened. So you kind of feel like you wasted a episode on something there. We don't need bottle episodes. We don't need filler. We need stuff that makes sense and progresses there. And to be honest, 16 episodes is a lot. Sometimes it would be better for a 13 episode for certain things, but people want 16 episodes. You're used to 16 episodes, hour-long episodes, and that's what we're getting. And hopefully they fill every episode with quality stuff, but they can't all be quality. Some of it's got to be filler. Some of it's got to fill in the gap because you're basically shooting 16 hours of Walking Dead content, which is a lot. That makes sense to have something that can't always be 100% perfect. But I just don't want things that don't make sense, that don't progress the storyline. I just hope that it makes good sense to build for the future. And The Walking Dead does a great job at planting the seed and then having it come back. They set it up, and then it actually, grows into something. They have a little thing here with Heath in season 7, and maybe find out season 9. Hopefully it makes sense with Georgie. I want to make sense. Hopefully it makes sense when Georgie comes back around. Hopefully it wasn't her one plan was just to give her a key to a future. Hopefully they've been trading with her for a while because she was supposed to come back with the 2 twins to fill up those things with cheeses and pickles and this and that. And, hopefully she comes back around. I would want to see that. You want to see characters come back around. What I thought was interesting too, speaking of that, is Walker. Walker from Fear the Walking Dead, not Walker, Texas Ranger, Chuck Norris, no. But Walker, the Native American who was in season 3 of Fear, I didn't click on the article on comicbook.com, but he was interviewed, and he said he doesn't even recognize the show anymore from season 4 of Fear. So to me, that kind of shows that he's not coming back. We're not going to see Walker and Crazy Dog. So maybe we do. But if he doesn't even recognize the show, wouldn't you kind of say, like, I'm coming back at some point, or you never know? And again, I didn't click on the article. I didn't really see it 100%, but that just shows to me that Walker's probably not coming back. And that sucks, And to me, it's annoying when you watch 3 seasons of a show, and then they reboot the whole entire thing, and it does nothing matters anymore. It's just like I should have just started watching season 4. But it is what it is, and The Walking Dead and the Fear the Walking Dead at AMC, they're going to do what they do for sure. Yeah, I would love to see Chuck Norris in The Walking Dead. That would be kind of crazy, just passing through. But a lot of cool stuff is happening later this year into next year. I'm excited for a lot of stuff to happen and just be good for entertainment. Hopefully Fear the Walking Dead picks up. The Walking Dead is good for the first half and the back half. Walker Stalker conventions, cruises, Zombieland 2 filming, all this good stuff. And it's cool. Have you seen the trailer for The House with a Clock in its walls, or what it says, with the one with Jack Black? That was filming in Georgia when I was there, and I saw some of the production being around it. I didn't see Jack Black or anything, but it's kind of cool when you see that stuff, and you can see, and Georgia films a lot. They filmed Venom, they film all these things that at the time, The Gifted, which I'm very excited for to come back in 2 weeks. But when you know the filming and you kind of see behind this stuff, and it's kind of cool. We want to see how it was actually done and portrayed. I think it was pretty interesting. But I know no, Eric, I have not seen The Nun, and I don't really kind of want to see. I don't want to see The Nun. So, but The Gifted is a good X-Men show. That'll be on Tuesdays on Fox the last week of September, and then a couple other shows are coming back. But we're getting closer. Like next week is kind of a lull in TV, but the last week of September into October, we're getting, at least I'm getting, some more shows that I like to watch. I like The Gifted, The Walking Dead. I like Empire. I like a couple of shows that are coming back. And we'll be here before you know it. October 7th, it'll be here. And I'm excited for it. Hopefully you guys are too. More information I get, the more trailers, the more stuff. It's like, man, hurry up, October 7th. And we're lucky that it's October 7th. It could have been the 14th or even the 21st. It could be even a lot more than that, where it could be waiting for a long time. But I'm hoping that since it's October 7th, that'll come back early in February as well. And, you know, going on the Walker Stalker cruise, the part's on like I forget when it is, Friday. And we come back Monday, and we're going to be on the cruise for that Sunday. So I won't be able to live stream, won't be able to do that. And hopefully they have AMC on there, and we'll be able to watch it together on the boat. That'd be pretty awesome. But that'd be pretty cool if you could watch it with the cast on there too. Eric, I definitely watched Game of Thrones. That'll be back next year as well. Very cool stuff. That's what I'm saying. I'm very excited for the Walking Dead to return and the Game of Thrones for 2019 for sure. What do you guys see? A couple questions. Game of Thrones. Yep, of course. I'm excited. Got to see how that ends. And what team are you, Brian, about The Gifted? I don't know. I like both sides. I can see I don't like the idea, and that's the whole idea of the X-Men thing is segregation. You know, having the mutants versus humans is kind of the new thing. Before it was different races, and now in this world of The Gifted, it's mutants versus humans, and I kind of can see there. But I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it. Hopefully they get more budget. Hopefully we get to see there. Hopefully we actually get to see an X-Men. But some of the people, and we don't get to see some major characters. They're kind of the lower, smaller characters in that universe. But I'm excited for that franchise. I love the X-Men. That's some of my favorite stuff there too. Exactly, Ramel. Captain Marvel trailer will be on Tuesday. I want to see how that plays out. That comes out in March. And then, of course, the Avengers 4, where we got to see what happens. You know, what are they going to do? Who's going to come back? Who's not going to come back? How's that going to affect Guardians of the Galaxy with, you know, that crazy director stuff, man? That's just going to hurt that franchise for sure. And Guardians of the Galaxy is some of my favorite because it's so comedic. You got to have comedy. I just rewatched all The Sopranos with my wife, and The Sopranos is very funny. It's a, you know, crime, mafia, you know, psychopath, mafia-esque killing stuff, power-driven show, but it's very comedic. It's very funny. There's a lot of comedy in it, and you need comedy even in zombie shows. In this, you got to have that. People need to watch because you can rewatch it for funny parts. And we need some of that with The Walking Dead. We haven't really had much of that lately. We've had certain parts and certain things, and it was kind of cool with Jadis and Rick, and, you know, like, I'll lay with him after, and you're like, no, we're kind of together, and, you know, Rick walks away. Kind of funny stuff like that. And we need more of that for sure, and hopefully we get that. But the writers do comedy pretty well on the show. The action stuff, sometimes no. But I'm going to go for another 6-7 minutes, guys. I'm definitely excited for sure. Yeah, Jimmy, The Sopranos. Well, The Sopranos are based on a couple different mafia figures, like Uncle Junior, and they're based on different actual mafia members, and that's kind of crazy, a little risky doing that. But I guess they talked to the right people and said it was okay, and whatever. So that's a little different stuff on there too. I haven't seen The Predator. I do not want to see The Predator. Hectorito, just because to me, the best Predator will always be the first Predator with Arnold and the Marines and stuff going in. I just think it's never going to get better than that, and it's too much comedy. I don't like Olivia Munn. I don't like that stuff. I like just there should be some comedy stuff there, but it needs to be, you know, army-driven, military, getting rid of these people, getting rid of this stuff, and I don't know. It's just something about the Predator where I love the Predator, but I don't like what they're doing with that franchise. I like the idea, what they were doing with Predator versus Alien, and hopefully that comes back around. Kelly Z, let me see. Where's your question? I think I saw it, but I'm trying to. A bunch of stuff just jumped on here. How do you think Morgan takes Rick's death/leaving? I would assume pretty hard. Hopefully, I think Morgan would take it really hard because he left Rick. And he should feel that if he was there, he would be able to save Rick. Not that's the case at all, but he might feel that way. And I can see that. Because if Morgan didn't leave, Rick might have stayed alive. And I kind of want Morgan to feel that way. I kind of want to see Morgan mourning and being very upset if Rick's gone. I just kind of have to see that too. No, Chad, I haven't watched The Nun. I haven't watched any of that stuff. Dude, I don't know. I don't like Olivia Munn's acting. She's attractive and she's pretty and she's all that stuff. I just don't buy her stuff. Like, I didn't like her as Psylocke. I did not like her in the X-Men movie. I don't know. Like, I used to watch her on Attack of the Show, if anybody knows what G4 is. And she was okay, but there's just something about her I don't really like. I don't buy into her as an actress. I don't really think she's that great. I'm not buying into that for sure. Yeah, the guy with the fake hand in Logan is in there. I know the guy from Key and Peele is in there too, and a couple other actors. But I just don't. I don't know. The Predator is this should be the bulk of the movie, not this hodgepodge comedic group of people here. The Predator. It's the Predator. We should know what that is there too. On there too. What's up, Jan from Belgium? On there, just check it in. My man Jan. He's in the series. Hopefully you're checking out my book series on there too. I'm having a problem with the cover of the latest book. Trying to work that all out. Hopefully it'll be done this week, and then it should be out on there too. I'm excited for Fight For Us. My book series is going strong. Book 8 will be out very, very soon. It'll probably be out the last week of September into definitely the first week of October, but I'm shooting for the last week of September, but I have a video about it going there too. But Fight For Us on there. Yeah, Hector, you definitely are in Fight For Us, that's for sure. Hector, Jan, and a couple other people. Very, very awesome stuff. Tudor, Brian, by 10 more years of The Walking Dead content, do you think they mean more spin-offs and series and not 10 more years of the main show? I think it's that. I think it's spin-offs. I think it's other little things. I think it could be, the web series thing, like the Red Machete and Flight, blah, 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 whatever that was, and the different things like that. And hopefully it means that the stuff comes out every year, where you get a Fear the Walking Dead and a Walking Dead and a webisode series and this thing and that. I would love a spin-off for certain things, but if we're losing more characters, losing more stuff, it's just going to be tough to keep it rolling, keep it going. We could get zombie fatigue. Maybe they need to take a break for a year or two and then come back. Kind of like the Star Trek idea. They said that. They want the show to be like Star Trek. Be on for a while, take a break, and be on for a while and take a break on there too. Because it's tough for people to be on the show and be away from their families. If you're filming from April to November with maybe a week or two off, or maybe a couple of days on there too, it's tough. It's really tough where you can film a movie in, a third of the time. It's just a lot to do. TV is a lot of commitment. But, I'll do it. Sign me up. I'll be on that show. I'll be a writer. Give me an acting gig. I'll do something. I'll be a small role on that. Be worth it, for sure. Some of these actors, after a while, they're like, oh, yeah, it's tough being an actor. It's tough making millions a season. It's tough making, $500,000 an episode. Please, give me one episode. That'd be life-changing money. Come on now. Get your stuff together. But I'm excited for The Walking Dead to return. All right, guys, we're going to cut it there. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all that you do, being a part of it. Shiva, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the top chat, live chat, all that stuff. Everyone, you are awesome. I appreciate your time joining me this Sunday, September 16th. I'm excited. I'll be back next Sunday and the following Sundays for sure. I got to go watch some football and do some housework and some stuff here and there. And I'm going to try to work on this cover so I can get book 8 of Fight For Us titled Legacy out very, very soon. I'm excited. I definitely too, Janet. I want to see some Frozen Walkers. And if they don't do that, that is just crap. You can figure out a way to give us Frozen Walkers one thing on there as well. So thank you guys for joining me this Sunday, September 16th. Mega Dr. Dre, what's up, man? How you guys doing? I'm going to have to be out this now, but I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here this Sunday and every Sunday. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for all that you do and the support, everything, whether it's monetarily, picking up the book series, watching. Hopefully you like the content. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. And remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve your goals. Believe in yourself. Never give up.